So with Mr. C, I noticed that at times when I'd go to mop or have something similar, he'd almost think that it was a toy. So I wanted to sort of show how you would practice if your puppy or dog was going after either a vacuum or, for example, a broom. So a lot of times things that move tend to excite most dogs. A lot of times it could be the movement and the noises as well that could also startle the dog, and therefore they might almost have a fight or flight response to the vacuum or the broom or the mop. If, again, cleaning the home is really hard with your puppy or dog at the moment and they don't know what to do instead, I would, again, keep them from performing the skill you don't want them to get good at. So what I mean by that is if your puppy's able to practice assaulting the vacuum cleaner while you're just squealing and saying no over and over, then your puppy's getting really good at practicing and rehearsing that skill. So what we'd want to do is prevent the rehearsal if we don't have something the dog could do instead. So what I mean by that, Charlie's just trying to work his Kong. So what I mean by that is if your puppy is able to go and bombard the vacuum, you may, when you need to clean, put your puppy away in a crate, a separate room, a corral, get them out of range. So while you're cleaning, you can just do so and get it done without having to worry about what is the dog doing or what is the puppy's state mentally wise as you're working those skills. So you'll see that with Mr. C, I did plop out a little target blanket, which I might actually make a little bit bigger. And I also plopped out some of his chews as well as that Kong. So the reason I set out some of those items is I want Mr. C to feel that he has alternatives to do something instead. So if he likes to go and work on a chew item, if he likes working the Kong, I was going to try and pair those higher value items with me moving around with the broom and helping him realize that when the broom is in motion, we can ignore it and do this instead. So a lot of my practice for him is in the beginning, if he doesn't know how to leave something alone, is to practice that ignoring the thing or just having it become neutral can be very beneficial. So as he's enjoying that lovely chew and he's just working his thing, I might just meander around with the broom stationary and then feed for that softness that he's giving while he's on that spot. So as I meander, if he were to come over to me, I would stop moving and then do a find it. So I don't want him to think that the broom is, again, the thing that causes the anxiety by keeping it moving as he's failing. So notice how he comes to notice it. I'm going to go ahead and just bring him back over to his little bed. He's not working a stay behavior. That could be for down the road. You could ask your pup to go sit or down stay. Remember, though, as we mentioned in some of the previous videos, is if the stay equals stay still as I'm doing something scary like broom or sweeping or mopping, then your puppy might start to think stay equals here comes the spooky thing and I have no escape. So behavior that was, again, not quite as big might get bigger. So I prefer to either do it where the pup can meander. This is very nice. Good job, Charlie. And then I'm going to feed him for this lovely check-in, but I'm going to do a little find it. And then as I'm meandering, again, the broom is not being used. I'm just walking around with the broom and it's something that is attached to me. So again, yes. So I might just meander, and as he comes to check in, almost like we did a little earlier with the little humans, is he might come and check in and I feed him for checking in with me or softly acknowledging the distraction and feed for that. So nice job, Charlie. Beautiful. So as I'm working it, I might move again a little bit around the environment. And then I might even put some snacks back onto his little target bed, give him little breaks throughout the movement so he's not always just only focused on the broom. Nice. So again, if he gets a little excited, I might regain his focus with a little kissy noise. So something like that, and then feed for that. Nice job. So as we're practicing, him coming near doesn't equal checking out the vacuum or the broom and eating it. You could, if your dog or puppy was a bit nervous about the item, is lay it down flat or have the vacuum off, and then when they go to target it, yes, and then feed away from the item. So let's say he comes to smell the broom or check it out or the vacuum that's stationary. You'd want to make it where maybe he goes and sniffs it, yes, and then we send him away for going and checking it out. If he was really nervous or apprehensive about this item, I would not go ahead and lure him to it, which, for example, if let's say my puppy was, oh my gosh, this is really spooky, and I were to be like, oh, here you go, handsome guy, and I lured him to the scary, he probably would have never gotten this close had there been no food. So we don't want to, by accident, poison the food in the sense of making it negative, or, for example, the skill or cue that we're working on. So poisoning or almost, again, tainting your stay behavior would be to pair it with being stuck and stay as something scary is now bombarding him. So Charlie, ready? Come. Charlie's getting really tired. He's been doing all his big boy work today. So right here, he might acknowledge the broom. Yes. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss some food off to the side. So checking it out or sniffing it would not be the same thing as him mouthing and biting it and then me feeding for that. Excuse me. Choking on my saliva is always really impressive. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So with Mr. C, yes. And I'm going to go ahead and toss the food. Nice. Gorgeous. Just going to take a little cough drop because, again, that tickly throat of mine. He says, oh my gosh, Ebba was coughing too. So we'll do another little find it. So as I'm practicing, I'd want him to see, ready, Charlie, find it. So I don't want him to think that broom moving equals go target and mouth it. So I might practice moving the broom around, Charlie, and then see if I can get him to practice almost some of our loose leash walking skills with the item nearby. If your puppy was very toy driven, you could also be doing this while holding the broom and be playing fetch. So that way he starts to associate playing with the other toy while this is just off in the back burner, as this is not the target when we're working. Ready? So again, I'm going to feed him for this. So as he's getting more cozy, I'm going to start to, and notice how if I drag it, he hears those noises. And that gets him more excited. So ready, find it. So again, my broom is stationary. Charlie, find it. Nice. If, let's say, again, like I mentioned, if toys are more motivational to him, you could also, for example, plop a few items out. See if he'd rather play with those while then you're engaging in some broom time. So again, as he's playing, I might move my broom and then I might go, yes, and then toss some food at him, even though he's mid-eating tennis balls. So this way, you could do a little bit of a double whammy, where we know he's very toy-driven, but he's also at times food-driven. So getting him to learn that, again, play is an option other than, nice check-in, sir, than going and eating your mop or your broom. So again, I'm going to go back to making it simpler, so where the broom is just moving, and he might choose to then go play, and then while he's playing, I'm going to add some motion. So the reason behind this is we're doing a little bit of, classical conditioning, but also some lovely change in behavior. So a little bit with creating a new association with this original thing with something instead that he could do that also brings him joy and comfort. So again, he just noticed Ebba a little bit. Nice. So again, yes, he chose to go for the ball, but I want to feed him for doing such a great job. So again, moving the ball a little bit, get his interest in the toy. Nice. And then again, my broom. Yes, good boy, Charlie. Oh, very nice. Oh, ready? Go get that toy. So if he likes to play, you could incorporate a little bit of your game. Nice. Ready? Drop. So if, again, he gets a little bit stuck and he doesn't quite want to let go, I'm going to remind him, nice job. But of course, it rolled away. I'm going to have to go get that one. So that way you're, again, pairing a little bit of play with these other items. Ready? Nice. Go get it. So again, as he's playing, a little bit of broom. Yes, good boy. Beautiful job, Mr. C. And then maybe he's like, okay, maybe I'll go back to my bed and I'll play over here for a minute. So he also is really cute, and he tries to put like 2 or more tennis balls in his mouth, and the poor guy can only like fit one. So he right now is off in the corner trying to fit both of the tennis balls. But it is a perfect moment. So let's say your puppy is off doing something, but they are in the environment. You could go ahead and practice the skill that you're trying to get him comfortable with as he's doing something that is appropriate and a better outlet. So now, again, we're just kind of getting him cozy. He's off just doing his thing. I look like a crazy person just sweeping. But the benefit of pairing, again, things he could do instead, or pairing it with chews or feeding for when he's soft near the item, is that if you're not able to do it this way and set it up where it's a learning moment for him to change behavior, you may not want for right now to have him loose while you are cleaning or mopping or doing something. Because if Mr. C thinks it's more fun to come attack the vacuum or the mop, that'll behavior will be a behavior that he grows into and gets better with. So we want to make sure, nice job, Charlie, that when he is practicing something, it'll be something you want him to get good at. So again, he's going back into working his things. I'm going to, again, try to be more of a regular sweeping motion and see how he does. He sometimes, every once in a while, gets a little distracted by my little one off in the corner doing her own thing on her little mat. Nice. But right now, Mr. C has decided to instead go for the better option, which is the tennis balls versus this. So you may also be finding that at times it's curiosity. He's trying to figure out his environment through his mouth. The only trouble is sometimes it's inconvenient for us, the things they decide to target. So I would highly recommend have outlets that are, again, appropriate for him, but make sure you're rotating through them. So if he always has these items out and you bust out the broom or the mop or the vacuum, that's now the novel item in the environment. And then you're adding movement, which for a lot of dogs equals excitement. So as he's sort of working his little chew, I might add a little bit of movement like this. And then he's doing a really nice job with his chew. I'm going to go back and feed for that and then continue around the environment. So if you can't set up a situation like this where Mr. C has the appropriate outlets instead, remember management is your best friend. So if your puppy or you do not feel comfortable enough to work a skill, you don't have to until you're ready or able to do so. So management could come in the form of tethering, could come in the form of using your crate, a puppy playpen, baby gates, also working with your puppy with sometimes stationary positions. Like he could be working a stay potentially down the road and work it with an extra chew item and help him feel that there's motivation to hold this position. So like had I done this earlier, he would have been all over the broom. And when I tried to do the mopping, because at one point there was a little spill off to the side, he thought the mop looked delicious. So we don't want him to, out of excitement or a knowing of the item, is to think that everything goes into his mouth because it could be dangerous. So this has been really nice for him, seeing, again, the broom, and then instead being able to work on his chew toy instead. So nice job, Mr. C. We'll give him a little break from the broom exercise, and he can keep working his little bully for a moment.